Awesome. All right, man. Well, I'm really excited about this. We've been preparing for you, Chris. Me and Monica. I had to take her back about I think 2015. I started going back to, I think, was that your first Displace album?
Yeah, Eureka, yeah.
Yeah, it was Needles on that one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's like, I told her, I was like, that's like my favorite Displace song of all time is Needles.
Awesome.
And so I had to take her back, and then we started listening, and I just kind of like took over her life for like 2 hours. And we went down I don't want to say like a rabbit hole, but of funk, like, because then it led us into all kinds of stuff. Like I started like talking about lettuce with her, and and pigeons playing ping pong, and Spafford, and it just one thing led to another, you know. And then she kind of was like, what did I say? I was asking you, I was like, is it okay that, and you're like, well, I think I'm good. I think I know where we're at.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, because I got a feel for the sound,
Yeah, I wanted to kind of introduce her to that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had a little LLC that I was doing before, was Funk It Promotions. And I used to go to all the shows, and I would record at each time. And then when I started going through there, I was like, damn, I recorded a lot. Like, I mean, there was a lot of different artists on there, Roosevelt Collier, and I mean, I don't know, the list goes on. There's so many. Danny J, Stephanie Perez, which is, also I think was one of your students.
Yeah.
At
like
one time.
12 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing to watch her just like, doing her thing on the scene and everything.
Yeah, she's a shredder.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw her at Janice like a month ago with the Head Tones, and it was just awesome. It's so cool.
The Head Tones, like there's another group that over the years has been kind of like in my eyes blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're getting a lot of exposure quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what do you think it is about them? Is it their sound? Is it just their marketing? Is it what they're because they're moving pretty quick, I believe.
I don't know, man. If you figure it out, break it down for me, please, because
like, give me the formula.
A lot of times I think I get buried in my world of teaching, and especially when I wasn't gigging that much, like I felt like all these bands kind of like I was sleeping on them, kind of like coming into the scene, and I just wasn't really in it. I was like focused on my school and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was just like I woke up one day and I was like, okay, we're gigging again, and then I was like, oh wow, these guys are awesome.
What's the name of your school? You have a music
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
right?
Sgammato Music School and Recording Studio. Yep.
Wow. And you teach what? What instrument?
Well, we teach everything there, but I teach voice, piano, guitar, bass, flute, clarinet, basically everything except brass and orchestral strings. So no like violin and no like trumpet.
Wow.
Well, I guess I do teach trumpet. I have another teacher who is like that's their specialty, but yeah, we do all ages, all instruments, all types, all everything, all genres, all interest levels, all we have some like beginner students that are just kind of like showing up for weekly lessons, doing their thing, all the way up to, because we do like band pairing, so we find kids of like similar proficiency and age and interest and whatnot, and we put them together in a band. We put them on big stages, small stages. There's, we'll do like a little thing at Dunedin Brewery where it's informal and they just get up and just play songs and just like, throw some stuff together, literally on stage in front of people. I'm like, here, you don't know this song, play these 4 chords, go, figure it out.
Wow.
We do stuff like that, and then we do more structured stuff that's a little bigger production where we bring in like a full light rig and like a multi-angle, multi-edited like video setup with like multi-track recording, professionally mixed audio. We have one of those coming up at Crowbar in December.
Oh wow!
Actually, the same day as our album release show.
What?
So, yeah, the whole it's
December 10th, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm gonna have
man.
to. Yeah, I'm gonna be there for about 15 hours that day. It's gonna be crazy.
Like I need a clone.
Yeah,
Clone
it's
would
gonna
be
nuts.
nice.
Yeah, literally, we're running a 6-hour show with the kids, and then immediately, like, we have to end at 6 because then we have to start our sound check for our show that night.
Wow.
It's gonna be
Yo, and I've been to a couple of those shows with the students. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's wow. I mean, it will blow your mind. Like we got to do it. We might be hanging out there all day.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good
That'd
thing
be
because I want
awesome.
you to and maybe Ruth.
My daughter Ruth, she plays guitar.
That would be fun to bring her.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I found out that her daughter played guitar, she's like, yeah, she's kind of rusty. She hasn't played in a while. And I was like, well, there's this guy named Chris. He has a music school. Like this is months ago, and it's so it's kind of interesting how we're sitting in this room now. I was like, you should get her involved with Chris, and I was like, so it's I just love it. I love it. I see how God works. It's like, wow, okay.
Amazing. How long have you had this school?
So I've been teaching for 15 years, and I used to teach for another place. And I guess we had a different philosophy on how things should be run, I guess is a good way to put it.
Okay.
Amicably. And so I started doing my own thing probably 8 years ago. And I kind of like slowly weaned myself off of that. And then so my school has been fully up and running, totally independent for the past like 4 or 5 years now. So.
Wow.
And do you have a location or do you out of your home? Like how? Where?
Yeah, the location is my home.
Okay,
yeah,
got it, out of your home.
It's it's not much of a home. It's really like it's kind of just a studio. Like people are like, where do you actually live? I'm like, I don't really live here. I kind of live with my girlfriend's,
Oh, get it. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
I love how you use it though. It's like a beautiful setup in there.
Oh,
too.
yeah,
And it just keeps getting better. Like every time I've come back, it grows.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while, so I can only imagine now.
Oh yeah, we just put new floors in and like got rid of the carpet and it looks really nice. And that's kind of a cool metaphor for the kids too. Like the ones that have been with me for a long time, is they're literally that's like an extension of the lesson. Is they are witnessing the birth of a dream in slow motion. I mean, when I first got in there, it was empty walls. There was like a drum kit in the corner. That was it. And I would put. I do this often actually to kind of help like visualize my dreams, and I just would put sticky notes like on the wall. Like there's gonna be a sound panel here, like a screen here for lyrics, and they would watch it like every like couple months or so. There'd be a new thing in there, and I was like, I told you, And then the ones that were there when it was just like an empty room, and now to see what it's become. And like we added the snake thing, and then we got these bass traps over here and diffusers here, and there's a screen that you can like put your lyrics on, and the new microphones, and like every time I get something new, I explain to them like what it is and why I'm so stoked. I'm like, well, now we can do this, and then we do this, and and I was like, I told you that we were gonna do this, and now we're doing this, and they're like, whoa,
Oh my
See
goodness.
the evolution of it.
Yeah. Which I think is like that's kind of an important thing. Is like I don't think we teach music lessons. We teach life lessons through the metaphor of music.
Yes.
So I have no delusions of like some of them are trying to be rock stars and that's cool, but most of them probably aren't, and that's fine. Maybe their parents want them to give it a shot, and we provide that opportunity if they want to, because we do have some kids that are doing some. I mean, we got some kids that are actually on a national tour this summer. They won't be back until Thanksgiving. I mean, they're playing like all over the country. Wow. Make sure you check out Beyond Chaotic. They're awesome. Yeah.
Beyond Chaotic. Ooh.
Yeah, it's Max and Alex. They have this brother-sister band. It's like a family band. And I'm actually producing Alley Cat K's solo record right now. So we're hoping that'll be out early next year.
Alley Cat K.
Yeah, she's
nice
great.
name.
Yeah, she's dope. She's really great.
Are they on Spotify, all of them, or?
Yeah, we actually have a Spotify playlist of, I think we're up to like, I don't know how many hours of music. I'll have to shoot it to you. But yeah, Alley Cat's music isn't published just yet.
Okay.
But yeah. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
What about like what did you start playing and at what age? Like, did your parents push you to do it, or was it something that you desired? Like, if you could break that down.
So you want to talk about God working in mysterious ways? Okay, so I or maybe not so mysterious. I don't know. It was definitely an accidental necessity, which I definitely want to talk about also. But yeah, I actually signed up for Wheel, which is like computer science, PE, like whatever, and. So I get to school like day one, and I look down on my schedule, and I see they put me in 6th period band. And I was like, what is it? And so I marched my little self down to the guidance counselor's office, and I was like, listen, there's been a misunderstanding. Like, I am not a nerd, okay? You need to fix this right now. And she was like, okay, calm down. It's fine. It was just a mistake. Just like, so she fixes it, and she's like, you got to go to band just for today, and then you're not in band anymore. I fixed it. You're not in band. And I was like, okay. Fine. And I go and I sit down in the band room, and we're just like on the floor in a circle, like rolling a tennis ball around, and it was awesome. And somehow I don't really remember anything else. But somehow I ended up going home and telling my mom that I was like, I think I want to be in band and I think I want to play clarinet because Mr. Edwards said it's the easiest instrument. And it turned out he also told my friend John Cassidy that trumpet was the easiest instrument. And then he told my friend CJ that trombone was the easiest instrument because he just needed like parts filled.
Yeah.
So I could have played any instrument, but it ended up being clarinet because that's what he told me was the easiast.
That's hilarious.
And this is 6th grade?
Yeah.
So you were like 12?
11. Yep.
11?
It was 1999. Yep. And so,
Wow.
yeah, and then it just started. I did pretty good, and it just came naturally, and I was always like kind of first chair, and then I picked up alto sax in 2000 to do the jazz band, and then I started marching band in high school. And I played clarinet in the orchestra, and then saxophone in marching band, and then I wanted to play guitar with my best friend Josh, and he already played guitar, so I just had to play bass because we were into like Blink-182 like punk stuff. So I picked up bass in like 2002, and then like kind of guitar after that, and kind of keyboard, and started singing. And then I went to USF, and I was like, oh well, I like music, but I don't think I want to be broke all my life. So I think I'm gonna go into finance or history. I don't know. I was like undeclared for a while, couldn't figure it out, and then eventually was like, okay, I guess I'll do music, whatever, and finance. So I was a finance major with a minor in economics, and then a music studies major with dual concentrations in voice and saxophone for performance and a minor in theater. So it was like this whole big thing. And then I started teaching because my friend was like, hey, you want a job? And I was like, I kind of need one. I'm broke, so sure. And so I started teaching, and I was in a musical, and then I eventually wrote, produced, directed, and starred in an award-winning musical in college.
Ooh,
And
which one?
it's called Inertia, the musical. It's on Spotify, and I forget about that a lot. I don't really talk about it much anymore, but it was a cool
Inertia?
experience. Yeah, that's a
Like
whole thing. That's
NURSA?
INERTIA.
Okay.
Like
Like the
inertia?
force that
Inertia.
resists
Okay,
gravity.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so all this stuff happened, and then like I started teaching, and I'm doing like music and kind of finance, and then I like basically finished my music degree, and I'm just doing mostly finance classes, and I'm we're looking at the market numbers in real time, and I'm calculating what rich people are making off of what, and I'm really appreciating how garbage the system is. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this. And then meanwhile, I got these students that are just killing it, and they're like, I'm teaching them all this theory and stuff, and they're like playing shows, and like I'm like, this is what I want to do. So I abandoned the finance degree, just go full teaching. And it's so bizarre sitting here on this couch and thinking about how I'm 34 and I've been teaching for 15 years, and I produced all this music, and it's just become the very fiber of my being, all because in 1999 a guidance counselor made a mistake, and I sat down on a floor rolling a tennis ball around, and then my life just changed forever from one dude.
Wow.
In one moment.
What a
It's
story.
really trippy.
And
to
it
think
wasn't
about.
a mistake. It was like Providence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I literally don't know what I'm like a one trick. I mean, that's the only thing I'm good at is music. I got nothing, like, that's my thing. That's totally my thing. And I don't know what my thing could have possibly been if not for that moment, So.
It's hilarious. You played clarinet first. That's the first instrument that I played.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, in like fourth grade,
Cool.
That's awesome.
and we have the same name.
Yeah, both.
But I didn't follow through. But I was a band geek most of my life.
Really?
Up until college. There was no band in college, but yeah, I played clarinet, bass clarinet, a little alto saxophone, and that was pretty much it. And then I picked up a guitar when I was about 18, and
That's awesome.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
very
is so
man, a
cool.
lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And
But you grew up in Tampa?
Well,
Did you,
yeah,
or-
like Oldsmar, a little more west. Yeah, Oldsmar area.
Okay.
What high school did you go to?
East Lake High School in
Eastlake.
Tarpon.
Okay, got you.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Actually,
so
I think that's
cool.
who my son plays.
Oh yeah.
his next
football
game.
Yeah.
He plays
his
Eastlake.
football,
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Their last and final game of the season. We went to their game last night. He had a phenomenal game. That was unbelievable. Like it was 7-7 at
43 to
halftime, and then
yeah.
it was 43-7 at the final.
43-7.
Oh,
It just went
They,
off.
like,
in the
blew
second
them
half.
out.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it rained for a little while, and then it stopped, and then after the rain stopped, they just like killed
Yeah,
it.
and they like that
Wow.
clinched their playoff spot as well. 'Cause I think they're 8-1 right now.
Oh,
So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's
really
really
great
awesome.
season. He's only played 1 year. He's a senior right now, so
wow.
pretty awesome. Yeah. But anyways, to
Yeah.
get off track there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Edwards, huh?
Yeah.
I saw you post a a beautiful story about him one time. I don't remember. I think it was on Facebook, because Facebook you can do more. Well, I guess both you can write on, right? But I want to say I saw it on Facebook. Not Instagram, and it was about Mr. Edwards. And is he still alive or?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still he's still kicking it. I think he's in. I don't actually know where he's at, to be honest. But
okay, got
he's
you.
doing his thing.
But he changed your life.
Yeah.
You know, what an impact. You know.
Yeah, and then also in high school, when I was in the marching band, another kind of surreal experience. We had this band director who he didn't really push us that hard. We just kind of like, I get there first year and we're just kind of chilling, like walking around, like not really doing much, and we go to this competition. I don't even remember what the contest was. I didn't really care that much at the time, but I guess I still don't. It's just, I was there for the experience. But anyway, we go to this show, and there's like 32 bands, and we came in dead last, like 32nd. Ooh. And the band was just trash. Like, it just wasn't, we didn't really work that hard. He didn't really push us very hard. He would like get upset and kind of cry and like cancel practice. And so, I mean, it was like, I don't know.
Highly emotional.
Yeah. Which is, maybe he had his own whatever. But it was just interesting that the following year, my sophomore year, Jay Emmert came in, and he took this band. He came down from like Indianapolis, and this same band that had just been like, we kind of had fun because we didn't take anything too seriously, because we would just get let down. He pushed us, and he was the visual caption head for Phantom Regiment, which is like the #2 drum corps, which is like the closest thing to like a professional marching band in the country. And so he came down and like kind of ran it like a military operation and like beat us up. And then we came back and won that competition the next year in our division. And we actually went on to be Division 2A, which is like the smaller marching bands. I think it was like under 100 or something. We were Division 2A state champions 3 years in a row. And then we actually ended up going my senior year to Indianapolis to the Grand Nationals, and where they take all the best bands from around the country. And finals they take the top 32, and we came in 33rd, so we just missed it. But for a band like our size, that there was no one else that came anywhere near where we did in Division 2A. So it was like, that was a trippy experience too, to see the difference between having fun, slacking off, and just like being lame, and then having fun, being awesome, and like with the same exact group of people, more or less. So that was definitely another huge teaching moment for me. I was like, wow, I can like have fun being mediocre. I can have fun and work hard and like really have a different kind of fun,
Oh yeah.
And what a message, because artistic people tend to be like, oh, let's just have fun and go with the flow, like free spirited. But to see that, to be like, okay, if you put structure and military discipline to it, and
there
like
really,
that what you could achieve.
Yeah, that's what I tell my students all the time. It's like a Clockwork Orange. It's there's a book and a film and whatever, but the concept of it, I mean, I think a lot of times people get caught up in the graphicness of the film, but the concept is taking something that is mechanical, robotic, structured, predictable, and applying it to something that is like organic and loose and chaotic and special, and kind of finding that balance between the two. So a lot of times my students will come to me with a song and it's an orange, and like they're strumming it freely, they just wrote it in the moment, and it's not really like locked to the tempo, or whatever. And so I have to like apply the clockwork to the orange and kind of like, okay, like that's cool. We could do a demo of you just like strumming, your song. But we got to get it on the grid so we can like make it better, and it's tighter. You can add other parts to it if it has that clockwork structure, and is still somehow retains its orangeness with that, if that makes sense. I think that's like the best of both worlds,
Right, that's powerful.
That is a great like analogy.
Balance.
Explanation. Yeah. I love that. Bring it all together. Bring the creativity together with the structure.
Yeah.
You got to have both, I think.
You do have to have both.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've lived both too. I think at various points in my life, I've been, just kind of chaotic and free, and like, and I write a lot, and then I get into like booking spreadsheets, and all that kind of stuff. And if you find a way to exist in one without going too far in any one direction, I think that's where virtue is found.
The sweet spot.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
That's the sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling that recently myself. My mind's always all over the place, and then with Monica coming into my life, it's kind of like she's like getting it together. Like she's like she's applying the clockwork to the song.
Yeah, yeah.
Clockwork
Like-
to orange.
yeah.
That's funny.
Yo, like I think this was the first time that I was actually on time today.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
it's a better
Yeah.
Gents. Yeah, like so she's like I'm getting better.
I was surprised. I was very
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We were shooting for 11:30. It didn't happen.
Oh, really?
We
Well, that's
still-
what you gotta
yeah.
do. You gotta shoot to come earlier to be
Yeah.
on time with David, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of, like, your woman has been a great asset in your life, and has added so much value to your life. Like
Yeah.
from what I've seen,
Yeah,
you
she's
know, it's what was her name? Emily.
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 Yep,
Emily.
3 letters, MLE.
Oh,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
nice.
Okay.
Yep.
And is she an artist as well, or no?
Yeah, she really enjoys music. She's more of a music appreciator, and so she really just like loves music and loves the Beatles, and Arcade Fire, and you know, yeah, she's been at I'm pretty sure like every show I've played in Tampa, and elsewhere, around the state since like 2015.
Oh, wow.
And you've played like a lot of stages, like all over, right? I mean,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just like all over the United States. Have you been outside of the country?
Yeah, actually, in 2008, I performed because I used to do a lot of like classical like choir stuff and opera, and I was Jesus and Faust at the Straz Center. It was a good time.
See that?
That fits
Totally
you
see
very
that.
well.
Either
with
Jesus
us
or
this
Dave
afternoon.
Grohl. is
Yeah.
what I
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
But yeah, I performed in Między Zdroje, Poland, for 2 weeks as part of an international choir festival. And I was one of 8 Americans that went over, and I was part of a solo choir over there, which was really cool. And I got to meet people from all over the world. There was this Croatian men's choir that would go sit in the hotel bar and just literally just drink vodka all night and just sing songs. And there was a bass in that band that could sing a low A flat, which is like, I mean, it's ridiculously low. And when he sang it into the corner, though, you could just feel the walls shaking with his bass. It was incredible. And I would just sit there. I think I was like 21 at the time, and I would just sit there drinking beer, surrounded by this Polish men's choir. And they would just, after every song, they'd be like "Na zdrowie," you know, and then it was great.
Does that mean like shot? What does that mean?
It's like cheers,
Cheers?
you know.
Oh,
yeah.
cheers.
And then the following year we did Austria, and so I performed as part of the 200th anniversary of the composer Haydn's death. They performed every piece he'd ever made in chronological order, and so we did 2 of them. The 7 Last Words of Jesus Christ and the Theresian Mass, and we actually performed it in the Santo Stefano Cathedral in Vienna.
Oh my
And it was really
gosh.
cool. And then there was also in this little town called Eisenstadt, we performed in the church where he would like compose and you know play on Sundays, and it's weird because like his head so he's buried in one side of the church, but grave robbers wanted to like examine his skull for like, you know, because he was so brilliant.
Genius.
And so they actually separated his head from his body, and they recovered it later, and his head was actually stored like in another part of the church. It was very strange.
And what was his name?
Haydn. Yeah, he was basically Mozart's predecessor.
Oh wow.
But that was a cool experience. That was I was over there for a month, and we performed in several locations. And at one point, I made my own like side excursion, and I met this dude named Boogie, and they made me feel so like, I realized through international travel how much smarter the rest of the world is compared to us. Like, we're victims of the American public
Yeah.
education system. Like,
Yes.
I mean, they're all speaking to each other in 3 different languages. Like, they're just brilliant, you know, and they spoke beautiful English, and they would just turn to each other and talk in another language in you know, Austrian. And I was like, nothing.
Yeah.
But I ended up going to some music festival over there with like a Russian ska band, and I was like, I told the violinist, like, I love you, I have to marry you. And so she's like, oh, come backstage and hang out with us. And she's like, I'm not gonna marry you because you're not Jewish, but here's a CD. And like, you know, hung out with, they were called Ruskaya. It's like a Russian ska band. It was very, very cool.
Wow.
Very cool experience. I'll never forget that.
Exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
An
good times.
Exciting life.
I'm telling you.
And you're
this is
only
incredible.
34.
Yeah, I just do crazy stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't recommend all of it. But
Crazy but structured.
That's-
yeah.
Crazy
yeah.
but structured at the same
Yeah.
time. It's a beautiful blend.
Yeah.
That's the way to
Organized
live.
chaos.
Yeah.
Organized chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and Emily definitely helps with the organized part. That's for sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember us speaking several months ago. I can't remember how long ago it was. But we were talking about like drinking less, and like you said how that has like really that transformed your life.
Yeah, totally.
As a musician, as a teacher, all that, So I think we were speaking on at the time. We were talking about like Nook, who he plays in a band called Golden Era.
Yep.
And I've seen him actually do a lot more. I think he kind of stepped back from drinking, and he was kind of at the beginning of doing that when we were having that conversation.
Yeah.
And I know for me, like I've stopped drinking. Chris has slowed down, and like, man, it's just what it does for the consciousness and what you can get done. Once you remove drinking is like amazing.
Yeah.
I used to drink every night. This was recent. Wow. This was like maybe 2 months ago. Now I've had one drink in the last 2 weeks. So it's a huge difference. I mean, it definitely gives you back your time, your days. You lose a lot of days when you're drinking. You wake up tired and hungover, and so the night before when you're drinking, you're unproductive, and then the day after you're unproductive. So yeah, it just gives you so much more time to be productive and be present and do the things that you need to get done.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So at some point, I will completely say, I don't touch the stuff anymore. But special occasions every once in a while, like a couple weekends ago was my buddy's daughter's second birthday. And so we had a whiskey and, one and that's it. But
everything in moderation.
Right, exactly. And it's a journey, and I'm getting there.
I mean, Jesus drank wine.
So absolutely.
Like,
And Chris, what made you like stop? 'Cause you were doing it daily. Like, what made you decide to
a lot of things. I mean, just having positive influences around me, like you guys and David, and just being a part of the show, definitely made me take stock in what it was that I was doing, and think about did I really need to do this? Is it that important to me? And so I decided no, it's not. So let me take a step back, and not do it, and see how I can improve in that regard. And things have gotten a lot better. Things have gotten a lot better since I stopped, drinking nightly. Like literally, I would go through a bottle of tequila or whiskey every other night.
Wow.
So financially, it was a drain.
Yeah.
Energy wise, it was a drain. And so it definitely has improved a lot not doing that.
Yeah. That's a great message too to everyone out there. To young men, young men and women. I just want to get that out to them.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you shared that.
Yeah.
And the power of decision.
Right.
You're like, I just decided, let me try this.
I've done that before.
Such a strong mind.
I've done that before. So I was telling David, I used to be a smoker as well. I smoked all through my 20s. And then I think it was 2014. I just decided one day that, I'm not going to smoke, and I never touched cigarettes again.
Wow.
Just cold turkey. Didn't go through any sort of, withdrawals I probably did, but I didn't have to go through a process that most people have to go through in order to quit smoking. I just decided one day that I'm not going to do it. And that's what happened. And that's typically how I do things. Like I'll be like all in, and then at some point I'm just like, I'm not doing this anymore. And that's it. All done. Yeah.
I totally feel that. I did that with smoking weed in college. I just I was like a very heavy. I mean, I got through. Actually, I will say I attribute my success in business calculus to marijuana. I was just stoned the entire time, and it's spatial reasoning, and it's the only class I got an A+ in college.
Wow.
But yeah, one day I was writing my musical, and I woke up one day, and I had just been so focused on writing this thing and just getting all this stuff out, and it was such a huge work, like getting the music and the lyrics and then the storyline and everything. And I woke up one day and I realized that I hadn't actually smoked weed in like 9 months.
Nice.
And I was like, what? And then I was like, oh. And I was like, I guess I just don't do this anymore. It's like you just kind of, whether consciously or subconsciously, just decide like, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, that's funny. I knew a guy in college who was stoned all the time, and he aced hydrology, which is like one of the hardest sciences ever.
Yeah.
And he was my partner, so I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. So like he would always be high all the time, but for whatever reason, it helped him get through that tough science. So that's funny that you said that.
That's interesting. Marijuana and math.
Yeah,
marijuana,
science.
math, and science.
Well, I think too, it has like a purpose until it doesn't. And for me, it did, and then it didn't, and I kept doing it. And then I was like, oh, actually, this didn't really working out. And then I tried it. I think it was like 2013, 2014. I took a hit of something, and it just made me anxious, paranoid, like just not good, you know. And I was like, oh, I guess I just don't do this anymore. And I just, you know, I don't mind. Obviously, a lot of my friends do, but it doesn't, you know, serve its purpose with me anymore. So
Exactly.
And what about like since you stopped, like is your writing like you got clarity to write, or
I
did you
don't
see the difference or anything?
I'm kind of crazy without anything. So no, I think I'm still just. Yeah, I'm pretty spacey and all over the place. You know, like the orange is just kind of there. So, and also just being constantly surrounded by my students too they're just a constant source of inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, so I just don't really need it so much. You know.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.